Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my goal to read at least 75% of the books that I have bought this year. So I've spoken about this in previous videos. I think I've done one video talking about this actual challenge that I've set for myself, and then I've mentioned it in a few wrap-ups. But basically I realised a little bit earlier on this year that I was buying books and then leaving them to sit on my TBR shelf and then kind of losing interest or losing enthusiasm. I have realised that the longer that the book sits on my shelf, regardless of when I bought them, when they're sat there for a while, I do become less and less interested in them. I'm always more interested in the like shiniest new book. So this year, and also going forward into next year, I've set myself the challenge of reading at least 75% of the books that I buy in that year. I think next year, because I will already be aware of this goal, I might try to make the challenge quarterly, so I'll be reading 75% of the books that I bought in that quarter. But this time around we are just focusing on books that I've bought this year because I have a lot of them. I've actually bought quite a few books this year. I don't think I bought quite as many last year. I can't remember how many books I ended up buying in the end. I actually did just double check, and I actually bought fewer books this year than last year, which is good. It's good. I don't need more books really, but I am only at 47%. I think when I first posted the video I was around the 40% mark, maybe 35%, so it is going up, but not as quickly as I need it to because it's already November. So basically the purpose of this video is basically just to show you the books that I have. I want you to tell me which ones I should be prioritizing, which ones you think that I will enjoy, which ones you enjoyed, or which ones you'd like me to read just for a laugh. I suppose that's also okay. So we're going to start off with the books that I'm currently in the middle of because there are quite a few of them. I'm actually just going to show you a clip rather than talking about them because I'm in the middle of them. By the time I posted this video in a few days I might have read at least a couple, so we won't talk about those too much. And then we also have some books that I hauled recently. I'm not going to show you them just yet because I do have a book haul video coming up very soon in which I should feature some of them, and then I'll be talking about the rest in another book haul video later on. I just wanted to mention another problem that I have before I actually get into talking about the books that I want to prioritize, is that my birthday is coming up in 2 weeks from today. I'm fully expecting to get some gifts from friends and family because they are the best, and I'm fully expecting to buy myself some books because I want books. It's my birthday, I want to treat myself, and I want to buy some of the books that I've had on my wish list for ages, so this is the perfect chance. And I'm not sure whether to include those books in this year's 75% goal or not, because obviously I'm buying them mid-November. They may be arriving later. I'm not sure. I feel like it's fair to buy all of these books and have to read them by the end of December. So I think I'm going to count my birthday books in particular in my 2022 challenge, but throughout the year instead of just in quarter one. I'm going to talk more about that in another video because I'm getting off track. But any other book that I buy after my birthday or in December, I will be counting towards this challenge, and I will have to read 75% of them. Of the amount of books, by the way, obviously not reading 75% of the book and then stopping. So without further ado, let me show you the books that I'm going to be prioritizing for the rest of this year. I'll show you which ones I'm excited about and which ones I'm a little bit nervous to read. Okay, so we're going to start off with two books that were actually on my November TBR. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it linked up above and down below for you. And those are the Night Watchman and the Wolf Den. So I'm very excited about both of these, and I honestly bought them because they looked so good together in Waterstones, but I think I would love both of these, so I've got very high hopes. The Wolf Den is historical fiction about women who live in Pompeii. Very excited for this. And the Night Watchman is about Native American people living in the 1960s in America. In the USA, there's a night watchman who is guarding a factory, and there's some sort of bill coming into play. So I'm very excited for both of these. I'm prioritizing them in November. I'm so excited. They're kind of 5-star predictions without actually being like officially on the list because it was too late for me to add them, but that's what they are. And then we have a pile of books here that I am also very excited for, but they're not necessarily 5-star predictions. I don't think any of them are anyway. So first of all, we have a sequel, and that is Heart of Flames. I've been meaning to read this for months now. It's the sequel to Crown of Feathers, which I really enjoyed. I gave it 5 stars. That one was on my 5-star predictions list, and I bought this almost immediately, and I really want to get to it and then finish off the series as well because the final book in the trilogy is out now. This one is about phoenix riders and phoenixes and war and fantasy stuff, so it's always fun. Then we've got More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. This one is a contemporary book. It's probably quite dark, I don't know. It's his debut and I found it in a charity shop, so I bought it and now I have to read it. Goldilocks, which is a sci-fi book about someone coming back down to Earth, I think, or back down to her original planet. I'm not too sure. But this one's very short, so I'm glad that I've chosen to prioritize this one. I think that Justine really like this. I have tried a book by Laurie Lamb before and I didn't love it, so I'm a bit hesitant now that I've got this, but it was only £2 I think, so yeah, picked it up. This is what happens with most of my books, to be honest. They're very cheap, so I end up grabbing them. Speaking of cheap, I got this one for free, and that is NW by Zadie Smith, which is a contemporary book. I don't think it's historical, but it's like realistic fiction, literary fiction, about people who grow up in a council estate and they kind of go on to lead very different lives to each other. I think it has them coming back together and, you know, leading different lives. I've just had a look and I'm not sure there are speech marks, which is very, very annoying. I had this problem with Sally Rooney, but got it for free from a neighbour, so there's that. The next one I want to show you is a fantasy book, which I have been putting off because I'm finding it really hard to get into the mood for fantasy for some reason at the moment. I just let it intimidate me, I think. I know that I'm going to really enjoy them because I tend to enjoy fantasy books, but I have so many first books in the series sitting on my shelf because it just gets to me. I don't know why, and that is The Unbroken. This is about two women who fall in love, but obviously it's a fantasy book, so there are political things at play. One, I think, might be a soldier and one is either an assassin or a bodyguard or something. Not sure, but it sounds really, really good. I think we read this for Space Sirens and I skipped it for whatever reason. I think, yeah, it just intimidated me. I don't know, but I'm going to read it by the end of the year. Then we have The Only Good Indians. I was meant to read this one around Halloween, but I didn't get around to it because I was busy reading 19 other books. This one is about a group of Native American friends who kill a elk, deer, stag, and then I think some sort of animal god comes back to haunt them. Jesus, my cat just open the door. That was terrifying. An animal god of some kind comes back to haunt them, I think. So that one should be spooky. And then another cheap one I got was from the charity shop, and that is the stationery shop of Tehran. This is historical fiction. It's set in the 1950s. I have no idea what it's about other than that, but I'm trying to read as many books as I can from other countries this year to kind of focus on other people's experiences, because I've noticed that a lot of my fiction that I read, and non-fiction as well to be fair, is centered around the USA in particular, not even the UK where I live, which is strange. I think it's what's kind of promoted on BookTube and Book Twitter and by the publishers. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of read about other people's experiences and then maybe try to figure out what kind of other settings I enjoy that aren't fantasy or in the USA. And this one isn't set in the USA, so that's good. I'm gonna probably fly through this one. It sounds very good and I can't imagine that it'll take me long to read. So there are 9 books there and I'm currently in the middle of, what, 3 or 4? So that's definitely doable by the end of the year, between November and December. I think I can make it to 75%, although there are some books that I'm putting off because I don't think I'm going to finish them by the end of the year or even start them because they're intimidating. So I'm going to show you those. There's actually only 4 of them and I am putting them off for various reasons, but let me tell you why. So first of all, we have Stars Are Legion. This one is by Cameron Hurley, whose book The Light Brigade I loved. 5 stars, fantastic. But this one is taking me a little while to get into. I started buddy reading it with a few friends and they all finished it, but I couldn't really get into it. I've read 75 pages. I'm probably going to give it 75 more pages before deciding whether or not to DNF, because I know that I like Cameron Hurley's writing, but this one just seems a bit off to me. It's not my favourite of theirs. It's a sci-fi book about weird alien spaceships and weird alien goings on, which sounds a lot like The Light Brigade really, minus the aliens. But yeah, I'm going to put this off until next year because I don't think I'm going to be in the mood for it this year. There's also Age of Myth, which I did start reading as well. I think I read about 2 chapters and I was just finding it a little bit confusing. I don't know whether I should have started with Michael J. Sullivan's other book. I don't know if that series came out first. I can't even remember what it's called. So this is The Legends of the First Empire, and then you've got Theft of Swords in the Rhyria Revelations, and then The Crown Tower in the Rhyria Chronicles. I don't know which is the best order to read these in. If any of you know, please tell me in the comments, because I really, yeah, I struggled to get into this, but I'm going to read it at some point. But again, with the whole fantasy thing, I've been putting off fantasy books and I did give this a go, but it wasn't for me at the time. It's also a very long series. And then we have Black and British. I'm putting this one off just because I want to get the audiobook and listen to it alongside this. It's a very chunky non-fiction book and I'm reading quite a lot of non-fiction in November. December I think I'll give myself a break because I want to read some like lighter books, I think, and all of these, because I feel like that's what I'm going to be in the mood for over the holidays. But I will be picking this one up, I think in January. It's going to be my non-fiction book for January. And again, this kind of ties into the whole USA centered thing. So I noticed that I've been reading a lot of non-fiction centered around the USA, particularly non-fiction about Black people and Black lives in America, which is fine, but also I wanted to read about something closer to home and about my own country because that would make sense. So that's the reason I picked this one up. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because it's so intimidating. It's so big. But I'm thinking I'll probably get the audiobook and listen to it alongside reading this. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I just haven't gotten into it yet, but it's going to be my January-February non-fiction book. And then finally, the last book that I'm definitely putting off until next year is Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson. So I'm convinced I'm going to love this one. I can't remember what it's been likened to. I feel like it might be The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, but I don't know if I'm just saying that because they're both sci-fi. I don't really know what this is about. Is it like First Contact? I can't remember. It sounded fantastic when I picked it up, but I think it's just because I've heard lots of good things about this author, but it's enormous as well. I think it's like nearly 900 pages and I don't think it's the start of a series. If this is a like massive standalone, like Neil Stephenson, what are you doing? Not only that, but there's also like a map in the beginning and basically it just intimidates me, so I'm putting it off until next year, and then I think maybe I can read it over a long weekend or something and probably like dig into it because I feel like this is going to need a lot of concentration. So that's the reason that I'm not picking picking this one up just yet. And then I have roughly, I think, 10 more books that I haven't really planned in because they're kind of my mood reading books. And I think I'm going to slip those in as kind of mood reading books as and when I feel like it. And then hopefully with all these plans in place, I should get to 75% by the end of the year, not including my birthday books. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Do you think I can do it? Are any of you doing a similar challenge this year? Because I know that some of you did say in my last video that you'd like to join in, which is fantastic. You don't have to do 75%. If you did want to join in, obviously you can just read 10 books, 10% of the books that you've bought this year. I really don't mind, but it's great to have some people joining in with me because it kind of encourages me. So yeah, let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all in my next video. Bye.